Hello dear learners, I warmly welcome you for today's deliberation on understanding intergenerational responsibility. I hope you are ready to explore a topic that connects our present choices with the future of humanity and the planet. Dear students, if we exploit resources carelessly, pollute the environment, or ignore climate change, we are silently transferring the burden of our mistakes to future generations. This makes environmental protection not only a scientific or economic issue, but a deeply moral one. This moral responsibility towards those yet to be born is called as intergenerational responsibility. Before moving further, let me briefly share the objectives of today's session are to understand the concept of intergenerational responsibility, to know about the different challenges of intergenerational responsibility, to examine the moral obligations of the present generation towards future generations, to analyze the relationship between intergenerational justice and sustainability in environmental decision making, and to promote environmental stewardship through responsible policies, education, and ethical practices. Now, dear students, let us try to understand the concept of intergenerational responsibility. Intergenerational responsibility is based on an ethical belief that powerful idea. Future generations also have rights. The right to clean air, safe water, and stable climate, and a healthy environment. Even though they cannot speak for themselves today, they will inherit the consequences of our actions tomorrow. Thus, we can say that intergenerational responsibility refers to the ethical or moral obligation of the present generation to act in such a manner so as to protect, preserve, and fairly manage natural, social, and economic resources so that our future generations can meet their own needs and live with dignity. It's based on the idea that the earth is not owned solely by the present generation, but is held in trust for those who will come after us. Intergenerational responsibility is about ensuring our actions today do not negatively impact the lives of future generations. Therefore, it's clear from the above, this concept of intergenerational responsibility aligns closely with sustainable development, particularly the principle articulated in the Birdland Report, which stresses meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Thus, intergenerational responsibility transforms sustainability from a technical goal into a moral obligation. This concept recognizes that many consequences of human actions, such as climate change, biodiversity loss, and resource depletion, extend far beyond the lifespan of a single generation, making ethical responsibility across time unavoidable. In essence, the concept of intergenerational responsibility reminds us that every decision made today shapes the world of tomorrow. Acting responsibly ensures that future generations inherit a planet that is livable, resilient, and just. It transforms ethical concern into a shared commitment, linking our actions inseparably with their future. Coming to the different challenges of intergenerational responsibility. Dear learners, the challenges mainly often arise from the tension between immediate needs and long-term considerations and the inherent uncertainties about the future. The implication requires careful consideration, ethical deliberation, and innovative solutions to navigate these inherent challenges and dilemmas. The sense of responsibility is amplified by acknowledging these challenges, pushing for more robust and thoughtful approaches. Some key challenges are discounting the future. It is the human tendency to prioritize immediate gratification over future benefits, often leading to underinvestment in long-term sustainability initiatives. This is a significant impediment to intergenerational thinking. Uncertainty and prediction. The innate difficulty in accurately predicting future needs and challenges, making it difficult to determine the most effective actions to take today. This uncertainty requires adaptive and flexible strategies. Collaborative action problems. The need for widespread cooperation and collective action to address global challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, where individual or organizational efforts alone may be insufficient. This necessitates strong global governance and collaboration. Balancing competing needs. The need to balance the needs of the current generation with those of future generations, particularly in context of poverty and inequality, where immediate needs may seem more pressing. This requires careful prioritization and equitable solutions. Dear learners, as we move forward in our discussion on intergenerational responsibility, there arises a question. What moral responsibilities do we owe to those who will inherit the earth after us? Since the present generation holds unprecedented power to alter ecosystems, climate systems, and resource availability, it also stands for the duty to prevent irreversible harm. The moral obligations of the present generation towards future generation arise from the ethical understanding that future generations possess moral worth even though they do not yet exist. While future generations cannot voice their interests or defend their rights, the actions taken today directly determine the quality of life, environmental security, and opportunities they will inherit. Therefore, ethical responsibility must extend beyond the present time frame. Dear learners, these points will throw light on the theme. Number 1, obligation of environmental protection. One of the foremost moral duties of the present generation is to protect the natural environment, as environmental degradation caused by pollution, deforestation, climate change, and biodiversity loss impose long-term and often irreversible costs on future generations. Destroying ecosystems for short-term benefits violates ethical fairness, and they are deprived of essential life support systems. Moral responsibility demands that the present generation should preserve ecological balance, prevent excessive exploitation of natural resources, reduce pollution and environmental risks, protect biodiversity and natural habitats. Obligation of intergenerational justice. Intergenerational justice emphasizes that there should be fairness between generations. It's ethically unjust for the present generation to enjoy the all benefits of development while passing environmental degradation, economic burdens, and resource scarcity to the next or future generations. This obligation requires equitable sharing of resources across time, avoidance of irreversible environmental damage, ensuring that future generations inherit conditions no worse than those of the present. Justice across generations ensures that progress today does not become injustice tomorrow. Obligation of sustainable resource use. The present generation has a moral duty or obligation to use both renewable and non-renewable resources wisely and sensibly. Overconsumption and wasteful lifestyles threaten the availability of essential resources such as water, forests, fossil fuels, and minerals. Sustainable resource management ensures that our future generations are not left with scarcity due to present excess. Ethical responsibility calls for conservation of non-renewable resources, sustainable use of renewable resources, promotion of energy efficiency and renewable energy. Obligation to prevent long-term harm. There are many contemporary challenges at the global level today, especially climate change and toxic pollution, produce delayed and long-lasting effects. The present generation has a moral obligation to prevent foreseeable long-term harm, even if the consequences are not immediately visible. This may include reducing greenhouse gas emissions, avoiding hazardous waste accumulation, preventing irreversible ecological damage. Obligation of ethical governance and policy making. Governments and institutions represent the collective will of the present generation and therefore carry ethical obligations towards the future. Policies related to development, environment, economy, and technology must incorporate long-term impacts. In this direction, the obligations may include framing sustainable environmental policies, integrating intergenerational equity into laws, promoting education and public awareness. Obligation of education and value transmission. The present generation also has a moral responsibility to educate and sensitize society about environmental ethics and intergenerational responsibility. Values such as stewardship, conservation, and respect for nature must be transmitted across generations. Here, education empowers future generations to make informed ethical decisions, sustain environmental protection efforts, continue the legacy of responsibility. Dear learners, let us now discuss the relationship between intergenerational justice and sustainability. Dear students, intergenerational justice and sustainability are deeply connected concepts that guide how we treat both the present and the future. Intergenerational justice refers to fairness and equity between present and future generations, ensuring that the actions of today do not deprive future generations of their basic rights, resources, and opportunities. Sustainability, on the other hand, emphasizes development and environmental management that meets present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Therefore, these two concepts are deeply interconnected. Sustainability is the practical expression of intergenerational justice, while intergenerational justice provides the ethical foundation for sustainability. So this relationship can be explained through different points. Number one, ethical linkage between justice and sustainability. Environmental decision making often involves choices with long-term consequences such as climate policies, energy transitions, forest management, and water use. Intergenerational justice demands that such decisions consider long-term impacts, not merely immediate economic gains. Sustainability ensures that environmental decisions respect the rights of future generations, prevent irreversible ecological damage, maintain ecological balance over time. Secondly, guiding principle in decision making. Environmental decisions guided by intergenerational justice require policymakers to act as trustees of the environment rather than exploiters of resources. This may involve limiting over-extraction of natural resources, avoiding policies that transfer environmental risks to the future, ensuring long-term ecological resilience. Thirdly, sustainability as an operational framework. While intergenerational justice provides the moral rationale, sustainability translates this rationale into actionable strategies. Sustainable decision making includes renewable energy adoption, sustainable agriculture and forestry, pollution control and waste reduction, climate change, adaptation and mitigation. Now, policy governance and ethical accountability. Environmental governance must integrate both concepts into laws, policies, and institutions. Incorporating intergenerational justice strengthens sustainability-oriented governance and enhances public trust. Decision makers must evaluate environmental actions based on long-term environmental impacts, equity across generations, protection of future rights. Dear students, now coming to another objective which focuses on promotion of environmental stewardship through responsible policies, education, and ethical practices. Dear students, environmental stewardship refers to the responsible care, management, and protection of the natural environment through conscious human actions. It is rooted in the ethical belief that humans are not masters of nature, but caretakers entrusted with its preservation for present and future generations. Stewardship transforms environmental responsibility from a passive concern into active commitment. According to the National Environmental Policy Act, environmental stewardship may be defined as the responsibility for environmental quality shared by all those whose actions affect the environment. This sense of responsibility is a value that can be reflected through the choices of individuals, companies, communities, and government organizations, and shaped by unique environmental, social, and economic interests. It's also a behavior, one demonstrated through continuous improvement of environmental performance and a commitment to efficient use of natural resources, protection of ecosystems, and, where applicable, ensuring a baseline of compliance with environmental requirements. Therefore, promoting this stewardship is essential for addressing contemporary environmental challenges as it links human values, institutional frameworks, and sustainable practices. Now, coming to role of responsible policies. Dear students, public policies play a decisive role in shaping environmental stewardship at local, national, and global levels. Responsible environmental policies integrate long-term ecological considerations into development, planning, and governance. Although embedding sustainability and ethical responsibility into governance, such policies ensure that stewardship becomes a collective societal obligation, not merely an individual choice. Such policies aim to protect natural resources through conservation laws, regulate pollution and industrial emissions, promote renewable energy and sustainable technologies, incorporate intergenerational equity into environmental legislation. Now coming to role of education in promoting stewardship. Dear students, environmental education is a powerful tool for cultivating stewardship values and responsible behavior. Education fosters awareness, critical thinking, and ethical sensitivity towards environmental issues. Education empowers citizens to participate actively in environmental protection and supports informed decision making across generations. Through formal and informal education, individuals learn, number one, the consequences of unsustainable actions. Number two, the importance of conservation and sustainability. And number three, ethical responsibilities towards future generations. Now let us discuss the role of ethical practices. Dear students, ethical practices provide the moral compass guiding both individual and institutional actions. They emphasize values such as respect for nature, responsibility, justice, and restraint. When ethical considerations guide actions, stewardship becomes a matter of moral integrity rather than compliance alone. Ethical environmental practices include sustainable consumption and lifestyle choices, corporate environmental responsibility, community-based conservation initiatives, and respect for ecological limits. So, dear learners, in an era marked by climate change, biodiversity loss, and resource depletion, in this direction, environmental stewardship is most effective when policies, education, and ethical practices operate together. Policies create enabling structures. Education builds awareness and capacity, and ethics shape values and attitudes. This integrated approach encourages long-term thinking, strengthens public participation, and ensures continuity of this stewardship across the generations. Dear learners, as we come to the end of today's lecture, let us take a moment to reflect on the key ideas we have discussed. The idea of intergenerational responsibility underscores a vital ethical insight. The decisions and actions of the present generation profoundly influence the quality of life available to those who will come after us. The theme, understanding intergenerational responsibility, reinforces the understanding that environmental challenges extend far beyond the present moment. Problems such as climate change, pollution, biodiversity loss, and resource depletion place heavy burdens on future generations who neither caused these crises. So, it's our moral duty to prevent irreversible harm and ensure a livable and sustainable planet. Intergenerational justice and sustainability are closely interconnected. Together, they ensure the present needs are met without compromising the rights and well-being of future generations. Equally important is the role of education, families, and social institutions in nurturing a culture of responsibility and encouraging and awareness ensures continuity of responsibility across generations. Ultimately, promoting environmental stewardship through education, ethical practices, and effective policies further strengthens this responsibility. Additionally, education fosters awareness and values, while institutions embed sustainability into governance and everyday decision making. In essence, intergenerational responsibility offers a guiding ethical framework for building a just, resilient, and sustainable future, affirming that responsible choices today shape a secure and equitable tomorrow. Protecting nature is not optional, rather is our moral duty and obligation. If we fail to protect the earth today, future generations will suffer tomorrow. Let us choose wisely. Thank you.